When you first get your BGH1, you may want to configure it so that it can be seen on your network. There's a few different ways to go about setting that up, and I'm going to take you through them now. The first and easiest way is to simply connect an external monitor to your BGH1 so that you can access the menus normally. You can also configure it over Ethernet, but it's important to understand that the BGH1 by default is configured as a DHCP server, not as a client. As a server, what this means is if you, first of all, connect the camera to your network, the network is not going to see it. As a server, this means that you can connect the camera to a computer over Ethernet directly. So that's an Ethernet cable from the camera directly into the computer. The computer will then get an address from the camera, and you'll be able to see the camera using the Lumix tether from Multicam App on the computer. You might be tempted to try to configure it over USB because you can connect the camera to a computer over USB cable and access that in the Lumix tether software. However, you cannot configure the network settings when you're on the USB connection. So let's go ahead and set it up using the menus in the camera and the external display. When you open the menu, scroll down to the wrench menu, and then over to the in-out menu, and then to LAN/Wi-Fi. From here, we'll go to LAN Wi-Fi setup. You'll see at the top there that it is currently configured as a DHCP server, like I said, but we can change that. I'll go into this menu, and from here I can choose to set it up as a server, as a DHCP client, or give it a static IP address. Assigning a static IP address is recommended because this will allow you to find this camera anywhere on your network, knowing always what the number will be. However, while you can assign the address directly in the camera, what I personally recommend is that you set the camera as a DHCP client and then assign an IP address to the camera's MAC address in your router. This is just a little bit more advanced way to set things up so that no matter where the camera goes on your network, it will always get the same address, but then also if you move that camera to another network, it'll still work because it's in DHCP mode. For now, I'm going to go ahead and set this into DHCP client mode. Select that. It tells me I have to power the camera off and back on again, so I'll go ahead and turn it off. And now I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the AC power from the camera and connect the Ethernet, which is actually connected to a PoE plus switch. This PoE plus switch will allow me to not only access the camera over the network, but will actually power the camera as well. I'll go ahead and turn the camera back on. Jump back into the LAN Wi-Fi menu. I'll go down to the Wi-Fi setup and then scroll down to network address display. This will show me the IP address that the camera has. In my case, I've already assigned a fixed IP address to this MAC address, so if you're looking to set that up, that's where you can see the MAC address for your particular camera. Now that we have it set up on the network, I'm going to go ahead and launch the Lumix tether from Multicam App on my computer, and that should see the camera. The first time the camera is found by the software, it is going to ask you to assign a password to the camera. This password can be from 8 to 31 characters and can be made up of lowercase, uppercase letters, or numbers. It cannot, however, use special characters, so make sure you limit your password to letters or numbers. I'm just going to make this simple and give it a password of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and hit OK. This has now assigned this password to that camera, and I can now access the camera through the software. There's the live view of the camera right here. Now, if at any time you forget the password, you can reset it, but to do that, you have to do that from the camera itself, and you actually have to reset the entire network settings. Let me show you how to do that. I'll go back into the menu, drop down to the settings menu, and then scroll down to reset. From the reset menu, I don't have to reset the record settings, so I can skip that, but then I will need to reset the network settings to reset the password, and again, the entire network settings on the camera. That is how you configure your camera to be accessible over the network.
Panasonic.